Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We're starting into the off-season schedule from the 1985 season being over, as we're playing Undaunted 2200 Callisto by Osprey Games. This is still my first Undaunted game that I've ever played on the channel, despite now having North Africa and Normandy, along with reinforcements as well. So as you might be able to see, we might have to zoom in just a little bit on this. But we are playing the first scenario again. We'll take it by force if we have to. This is a game set in the Undaunted universe, but in space. For a little bit of the intro, we'll just kind of center this. We'll just kind of give the overview of the whole game. So we've got the LFA, which stands for the Lunar Frontier Authority, against the Breakers, which is a group of rebels, essentially, a base group of miners. For this scenario, we're going to be playing as the LFA once again. For this one, we'll go through the full story on this one. Location, Callisto, IMU Spaceport Gateway Epsilon. Dropship on the ticker, the scanner growled, hoping his shivers in the bitter Callisto cold weren't mistaken by his comrades for fear. 5 minutes out. Let them come, the other lookout said, flexing his hands to work, feeling back into them before grasping his nail gun. If they think we're just going to roll over and give them the ice, they're in for a bloody surprise. The first shots will be fired at Gateway Epsilon. Following the refusal of the Breakers to engage in any further negotiations, let alone stop selling the water ice to the Galilean government, the LFA Board of Investigators have voted unanimously on interventionist action in order to protect their profit margin. Citing contract clauses pertaining to a criminal takeover of Callisto's surface, the LFA security firm has been assigned the task of conducting a suborbital deployment and claiming it the latest shipment of water ice by force. The shipment in question is being held in cryoblocks in a series of storage silos at Gateway Epsilon, a secondary spaceport linking the Callisto moonside settlements with the orbital stations. A Galilean transporter shuttle is scheduled to take possession of the water ice and shift it into orbit. The LFA, however, has got to it first. Deploying the security dropship on the landing pad to the east of the Gateway's twin storage facilities, a crack force of LFA Corpsec and scouts is preparing to establish a perimeter around the spaceport. To the north and south lie seemingly deserted shuttle bays and ware hangars, while the ground in the middle alternates between bare open dust and ice and stacks of crates and storage containers. Further west, on the far side of the primary facility, is a collection of minor prefab dwellings and the port's security building. It is here that the Breakers overseeing Gateway Epsilon are gathered. Monitoring equipment has detected the approach of the LFA dropship, and orders from the IMU are unequivocal. The LFA must be stopped from stealing the water ice at all costs. Only through unyielding resistance will the LFA be made to understand that their monopoly is at an end. For their part, most of the LFA's personnel deploying to the surface expect the Breakers to back down, but their own instructions are equally clear. Any resistance is to be met with maximum force. The contracts will be enforced, through violence if necessary. We're also going to make this scenario a little bit easier, since we kind of got rocked the first time we went through this. The way we're going to make it easier is when the bot goes to bid for initiative, even if it wins the bid, it's going to discard the card it uses to bid for the initiative. So that's how we're going to handle that. We've got our Vulcan and Artemis. We've got a couple of mechs, in addition to Scout Y, Scout Z, Corpsec Y, and Corpsec Z on the board. The Breakers start with Nail Gunner B, Ripper B, and Survey Tech B, and same units for C. So with that being said, I'm going to give all of these decks a quick shuffle. So this is our deck. I haven't sleeved this yet because I wanted to give it a second look before I made that decision on if I'm going to sleeve this game or not. Normally I wouldn't come back to a game quite this quickly, but the first time I played it, I did see something in here that I really liked. So I wanted to give it another look fairly quickly. That's what we're doing here. Which is also to help me make the decision of, am I going to sleeve this game or not? And our objectives here are either to control 5 objective points, which might be a little bit hard to see, but let me see if I can zoom in. So on this unit, we've got an objective point of 1 here. That's a unit we'd have to control. So we either control 5 of those, or we neutralize 3 breaker units. The breakers will be trying to do the same thing to us. Zoom back out just a touch. We'll give the breakers deck a quick shuffle as well. We'll give that a cut. And I think we're all set. And Christoph stopping by. Game looks so good. You have Undaunted Normandy. This game's evolved and went better every time a new game was released. Well, good to know about that. I've also got Normandy and North Africa that I've unboxed. I also have Reinforcements so I can play both of those solo. But I wanted to give this game in particular another look because I like the sci-fi world a lot more. My initial impression, admittedly my initial impression of Callisto was kind of meh. But given that I really like the sci-fi world, this is actually a good game. This is actually a good world, so I wanted to give it another look. Plus, now that I've switched back to using my Sony a6000 camera for streaming, I wanted to get a much better video quality version shot. The audio is also probably a lot better, it's still very loud. Let me see if I can turn that down just a touch. That way I'm not blasting anybody's ears off. Hopefully that should be better. And I probably am still going to be living in the rulebook a bit since I'm still somewhat learning this game. But let's give our first hand a look. So we actually do start off with the initiative here because that's on the board. The question is, do I want to use an interference for initiative? And I think I do. I think I will risk using an interference for initiative, which is a value of 1. Actually, they don't have any interference to start in their deck, do they? Actually, yes, they do start with an interference, so we will use that. I don't really want to give up any of our units yet. So what they'll use for initiative is a 4. So they actually will take the initiative. And remember, since we're playing solo, or since we're playing slightly easier, they don't get to keep the nail gunner C in their hand. So we'll draw 3 cards out for them. Draw these 3, arrange them from left to right in descending order. And then we'll see what the bot is doing, which I've got the bot rulebook right here. So the bot procedure will start off with a squad leader. Matching cards in the play area, no. And matching is based on the squad. So it's squad leader C to survey tech B. So no dice, so nothing there. Matching control unit adjacent to an unscouted objective. That looks to be a no, because that's squad C again. Bolster 2 in the matching squad, they can do that. So we'll give the C card, since that's squad leader C, a shuffle. And a cut, and they'll bolster 2. So 1, 2 going into their discard pile. They add a couple units for rippers, so that squad's done. Survey tech B, interference in play area. Yes, there is interference in the play area, so they will recon that away. Okay, and then coming over to my hand, let's see. I will start off with a... We can't do any attacking yet. So I will have the... Alright, I'm going to start off by playing Corpsec Y, which means I can move, take control of a zone, attack, I believe that 0 is a ranged symbol. Let me see what that translates to. solo scenario. Not going to be there, most likely. I'm pretty sure, well, we're probably not doing any attacking anyway. Oh, that's attacking a humanoid unit versus attacking a mech. Okay, that's what that is. So we'll have Corpsec Y move into... We'll have Corpsec Y move over here. Then do we care about inspiring in Y? I think the answer to that is no. So I'm going to use my Sergeant to bolster 2 cards in Squad Y. What do I think I want here? I think I want my Scouts to... Actually, I'm going to bolster a Scout and a Corpsec Y. I definitely want to get some scouting going on there. Then with my Commander, I can either move a space, bolster 2 in Squad V, attack from a range of 2, or suppress... Actually, attack 2. You must start... Oh, so attacking, targeting a personnel with 2 dice, and suppress using 4. Okay, so... The question is, what do I want to do with those? I do want to get some scouting in my deck, so actually I'm going to bolster... I'm going to bolster 2 navigators. That's what we'll do there. Then that's round 1. I will draw back up to 4 cards and see what I want to use for initiative here. Let's see. What do we want to do here? I'll draw the initiative card for... the breakers. Let's see. I definitely want to use the Commander this turn. And I also want to use the Scout to actually do a little bit of scouting. So I'm going to use... actually, I could use the Scout to recon this interference away, which is a tempting thing to do. Actually, let me just make sure that recon for them is just getting rid of the... make sure that recon for them is just getting rid of the interference, that I shouldn't have drawn them an extra card. Then draw the top card. Okay, so this is actually their face-down card that they have in their play area. That's their initiative card. Okay, so, and then recon for me... Recon for me lets me play it as normal. So I'm going to use Corpsec Z as my initiative card. So that's a 5 I'm using. The breakers are using... They're using a 7, so they still hold the initiative. That's not great. 1, 2, 3. Plus the card from their recon last turn. Alright, so that's what we're looking at for their cards. They've got a Supervisor out first. Supervisor on the bot actions is a D10 roll. So we'll bring... Actually, we've got the Dice Tower up here in shot. Might be a little bit hard to see, but I've got the Dice Tower right up here. Let's see. On a 6, they're commanding 2. So command for them is draw a card from the bot's deck and add it to their play area. So they're commanding 2. So 1, 2, and they adjust it in there with a lower initiative value. Okay, so they're going to go like that. So that's command 2, which means Supervisor's done. Survey Tech C, interference in play area, which there is. Go away, Siri. So that's going to recon that away. Then they'll shuffle up, and once again, they're going to draw another card. Let me bring that in shot so you guys can see I'm not doing any kind of funny business with their shuffling. Didn't mean to jar the camera there. This was on my War Room list as well, but as I've already played it this year, this is the second play that isn't counting toward that. Alright, so that takes care of the survey tech. Right? Yes. Okay, survey tech is done. Then Ripper is trying to control, but no. Space shared with an enemy mech? No. Space controlled and enemy occupied? No. Space secured? They're looking to move 1. Toward a threatened objective, which there are none right now. Then an uncontrolled objective, which is actually either way. I think any way they move, Ripper B is going to be moving out 1 unit. So they'll move out like that, and Ripper B's done. Ripper C is probably doing the exact same thing. So yeah, they're moving out over here. They're done. Then the Nail Gunner. There's nothing that they're attacking. So now they're rolling for an attack. Or they're rolling for their move. 3 is looking for the most dangerous enemy, which is a Corpsec with control on an unoccupied objective? No. Corpsec with control on a non-enemy controlled objective? No. So it looks like they're looking for a mech, which is one of our mechs over here. Either way, it'll take them to the same place, which is right over there, and now they're done. Okay, so let's start with a scout to recon this interference away. Then I'll draw another card, which I can play like normal. Then a commander. What do I want to do with the commander? The commander would let me move anybody. Or I could bolster 2 from Squad A. Which I think I am going to use the commander to bolster from Squad A. So we're going to get a gunner and a navigator. And then with captain, will either let me bolster 3 or command 2. Which I'm going to go ahead and... Actually, I probably should have done this in a different order, but I'm going to draw 2 cards, mostly so I'm shuffling this turn. Let's see, Scout Y. Scout lets me move up to X spaces, so I'm actually going to move Scout Y. I'm going to use that to scout 2. So Scout Y will scout 1, 2. Moving up there, and then since I'm scouting a new space, will place a control marker with the scouted side up, and then we'll take an interference card. Which one? Okay, so with the binoculars, it's scouted. So that's there. We put an interference back in the deck, and then we'll use Sergeant, and we'll use a Sergeant to inspire Scout Z, and then I'll use him to recon as well. So we got away with 1 there. And he will move 1, 2. We'll put another scouted unit there, and then we'll take another interference. And then that's it for our turn. So I'll give this whole thing a shuffle. Initially, I will admit that my first impression of this Undaunted Callisto was initially giving me a lot of Combat Commander vibes, which, if you recall when I played Combat Commander with Jester around Memorial Day last year, I actually wasn't that big a fan of Combat Commander initially, but this is admittedly making me want to rethink revisiting Combat Commander. I do have Combat Commander Pacific in my collection that I really haven't done much of anything yet, and part of that is because it doesn't really have a traditional solo mode, other than play both sides to the best of your ability. Okay. I was worried for a second that I had a card there that actually had flipped over, but nope. So I'll draw 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get the initiative card out for the breakers, and I'll see that this hand is actually not bad. We could do a little more scouting with Scout Y. What do we want to do here, though? I don't see myself doing any attacking this round. So I actually don't have any Z's in my hand with a Sergeant Z to inspire. I could bolster from Z, and I've got a lot of cards in Z that I haven't gotten to yet. So I kind of want to use the Sergeant this round. Probably the Gunner to bid for initiative. Yeah, because everything else is pretty much good. So I definitely want to use the Commander to get some of my units moving. So yeah, I think we keep everything else, but we use the Gunner to bid for initiative on a 3. So let's see what the Breakers flip over for initiative. They flip over a 5, so of course they keep the initiative. So I'm going to take a drink of my Crystal Light, and then we'll draw 3 cards for the Breakers. One, two, three. Then we'll flip over and see. Yikes. They're getting a lot of big cards. So we'll start off with the Supervisor, see what they're doing. They're either bolstering or commanding. Alright, 7 says they are commanding 2. Which their command is... So command 2 is drawing these 2 cards and adding them to their play area. They're done. Squad Leader B, there's a matching unit. The Survey Tech is a matching unit, so we're going to inspire them, which means they'll get to activate twice. So Survey Tech B for their first activation, no interference in the play area, space is not shared with an enemy unit, space secure, secure, let me see how they define secure. If the bot is secure if at least one of the following is true. The bot does not control the space. Bot has combat counters in it. The player has no units with a control or attack ability that would result in the space being threatened. So the space is controlled, which means they're going to scout 1. So actually they are... Right, that's Survey Tech. So they're going to scout toward a threatened objective, which a scout would have a control action on it, I believe. No, actually, Scout doesn't have... So, threatened objective is... So, where are they going? So, space secure... So actually, this is an objective, so they'd be scouting here. That is Survey Tech B. They'd be scouting toward this objective, so they're moving 1 space. And now they're actually going to move toward that threatened objective for their second activation. So that's done. Then the Ripper... Let's see, the Ripper is going to try to control a space, but it's already controlled. Space shared... space shared with an enemy mech, no. Space controlled an enemy occupied, no. Space secure, move 1 to a threatened objective. So Ripper C is going to be moving up to this scout. And we definitely want to try to get some help for that. We definitely want to get some help for this scout up here. He's kind of a sitting duck, as Conflict Board Gaming now joins us here as well. Yikes. Let's see, what do we want to do here? Yeah, this is actually kind of problematic. We don't have any matching units for the Sergeant to inspire, but bolstering is definitely an option, which I think is what we're going to do. We're going to use the Sergeant Z to bolster 2 from Z. I definitely want to get some attacks here. Wait a second. Why do I think these stalkers are not supposed to be in the scenario? The stalkers are not supposed to be in the scenario. Okay. Now that we've got that sorted out, let's see what we want to do here. Let's see. I think we've got to have some... I think I'm going to have some control cards for that. Let's see. Then we're going to let Scout Y... I think we're actually going to use the Commander V first to move 1. So actually that's Commander V for Vulcan. So we'll move that. So we'll move Vulcan up 1 space. Then we'll use Scout Y. We don't have any interference to recon away, so that's not a thing we can do. Scout 2 or attack with 1 die. He's not in the threat to be attacking anything, but he is able to scout. So we'll scout 1, 2. We'll put down 2 more control markers. Unfortunately, that is going to add 2 more interference to my deck. And then we're done with the round there. 1, 2, 3, 4. These get discarded. And, okay. We got a lot of big cards here. And then we need to shuffle up for the breakers and get their objective card. Or get their initiative card. Okay. So now let's see what I want to do here. That Scout Z's probably going to have to start pinging. I definitely want to get Artemis into the fray as well. I do need to be careful, though, because if I put a mech in with the Rippers, that's suddenly going to give them a target to go after. So, question is that worth it? This is bad. Let's see. Unfortunately, we don't have any ways to take control of anything here. But I think... And we don't have any interference cards, and we've added a bunch to the deck in sending our scouts out. This is actually kind of terrible. So here, I think we're going to use... I think Scout Y is I think I'm probably okay with Scout Y staying put here. He's not doing... We don't have any interference cards, so recon is not a thing we have to worry about as well. So we're bidding a 6 for the initiative. They are bidding a 4, so we actually take the initiative, finally. Okay, so what do we want to do here? I think we are going to have to risk it. We are going to put Vulcan in with the space there. We're going to put Vulcan in scouting. We've already scouted the space, so we don't need to add any interference cards to the deck. Then Scout Z is going to have to start attacking. He's going to target the Ripper. And because we're at equal elevation, we do use a D10, I believe it is. I'm just going to check that out. Level target, yep. So we are using a D10. And we have to hit at least a... We're going to go after the Ripper, so we have to hit at least a 4. Which that's a 7, so we do get rid of the Ripper. So we'll draw... I'm trying to think if they draw the cards. They draw the cards first. Draws the 3 cards for the bot. Okay, so we look through. So when we nail a target, we take it out of the... So when we hit something, we take it from the discard pile first, which they don't have. Then they go through the deck, right? From the discard pile, we didn't find it there. Otherwise, go from the deck. So we're going to find a Ripper C. Ripper C will take one out of their deck. And I'm just going to return that, move that over toward the box. We'll give these a quick shuffle as well. And we'll give that a cut. Okay, and then our last card is with Navigator A, which I think we're going to send... That's Artemis we're sending out now, so we'll send that into... I don't really want to put that in combat right away. Might not be a terrible idea to do that anyway. So I think we will actually bring Artemis up here on scouting detail. And remember, since we're moving through spaces we've scouted already, no interference cards are needed there. So we'll draw 3 cards, and we see that we also have 2 additional cards that they were using. Okay. So we'll arrange these in initiative order, which is something like that. Okay. So we'll start off with Squad Leader B, or with Squad Leader C, I should say. There is a matching card, so they inspire next matching cards. Yikes. So Survey Tech C and Ripper C both get inspired, which is not good for us, but the Squad Leader C is done. Survey Tech B, there's no interference in the play area to recon away. Space shared with an enemy unit, Survey Tech B does share, so they're attacking, but they have to target personnel, which they can attack the scout up here with 2 dice, and they're going after they're targeting a 5. Okay. And no face is greater than. Okay. So the defense is a 5. Which somehow the Survey Tech B actually misses, which is great for us. Survey Tech C's first activation is going to be the same thing. They're attacking the scout again. Once again, going after a 5, which is another miss. So Survey Tech C is going to run that back. And this time they get a hit. So we didn't have anything in the hand. We'll have to take a Scout Z out of the discard pile. And then that's done. Ripper B's first activation is to try to control a space, but they can't take control of the space because... wait. So take control of the space that the unit's combat counter is on. You can't perform this action if your opponent controls the space and has a unit there. We don't control the space, but we do have a unit there, so I don't think we can actually take control of the space anyway. Yeah, doesn't seem like they can take control of the space since it's right there. Since we've got a unit there, we actually got a few there. Okay, so can't do control. However, the Ripper can target a mech. They're going to go after the Artemis with a lower defense value of a 4. Which that will hit Artemis, so they'll go after the Navigator. They'll run that attack back again. The 4 is a hit, so we have to take another A, which the Gunner is gone. So that one's done. And then Nail Gunner C, which is over here. So Nail Gunner can't do anything about attacking or suppressing. So now they're going to roll a d10 for the next move. A 2 is finding the nearest most dangerous enemy. Corpsec with control on an unoccupied controlled objective. Which is nothing there. Then they're moving. The nail gunner is finding the most dangerous enemy, which is Corpsec with control. No. Mech, both the mechs are up here, so it's moving one space toward that carnage. Okay. And then for once, they don't have any extra cards to play. So now we get to draw cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. We've got Commander of... So we've got an Artemis Commander, which we might want to use here. We've got 2 Corpsecs Y, which we... That's actually not that useful, I don't think. Actually, the Sergeant could let us potentially inspire something. I don't think we want to let an attack chance go, so I'm going to keep the Commander A in my hand for Artemis. I really want to use the Sergeant, so it looks like I'm burning one of these Corpsecs for initiative. So we'll use a Corpsec Y for initiative, giving me a value of 5. The AI is bidding a 7 for initiative, so they get the initiative. And we're drawing 3 cards for them. Yowza. Okay, they got some big money cards here. They're starting off with a Supervisor. We'll roll for what they're doing. A 1 says they're bolstering in. 10 is Squad C. So we'll shuffle up. Let's see, that's bolster 3. Yowza. So we're bolstering 3 cards from Squad C, which is not a good thing for us at all. So 1, 2, 3. All right, Supervisor's done. Ripper C is trying to control space shared with a mech. It's attacking Artemis once again with the lower defense. Defense is a 4, which they score a hit. Oh, we got to go from the hand first, which I think we had. Oh, yeah. We had an A in the hand because, of course, we did. That's unfortunate, but Ripper C's done. Ripper B isn't in the same space. Their space is already under control. They don't share a space with a mech. Space controlled and enemy occupied? No. Space secure? They're moving to a threatened objective, which is actually right up here. So that's Ripper B. We've got a problem on our hands here. Okay, so let's go ahead and move Corpsec Y up toward... Up toward this... Where do I want to send Corpsec Y? Unfortunately, we can't move anything down here because we don't have a scout in our hand. I think we're going to move him up here toward potentially taking control of this objective. Then we're going to use Sergeant Y. What do we have in Y Squad? I think we're going to go with... Do we want to bolster 2 or inspire the Corpsec again? I think... I think we're going to bolster 2. I want the Scout, and it's going to be another Corpsec. And that's round. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ugh, a whole mess of interference. Well, we might as well bid one of our interference just to get it out of our hand. Because we've got nothing but interference. I'm just going to shuffle these off. They added a whole mess of cards from Squad B to their deck. And odds are they're keeping the initiative here no matter what we do. And they're bidding... Yep, they're bidding a 6 for initiative. Nope. Discard pile, not the supply. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Gross. Starting off with Ripper C, they're targeting Artemis once again, since they're sharing the space with a mech. That's another hit. Let's see if I have any A's in my hand. I thankfully do not. How about in the discard pile? Nope. Deck? No. Doing a lousy 2-card shuffle off camera. So we're taking a card out of the supply, which is very bad because we lose that last gunner card, then our Artemis is off the board, which is not good for us. Ripper B is in the space as well, so it's going after Artemis as well. Which, that'll take care of Artemis. So they're a third of the way home now. Nail Gunner C has thresholds for acceptable attacks, but nothing doing there, so they're rolling a D10. That's a 1, so they're finding the nearest most dangerous enemy, which they're moving into this mess. Gross, gross, gross. Things are not going well for us at all. Well, we'll start off with using the Navigator to recon one of these interferences out of our hand, and that'll draw me a card. Okay, I don't completely hate that, I just mostly hate that. That's a Corpsec Z. Unfortunately, interference is going to clog up our hand, and Corpsec Z is going to move... It's going to move over here, I guess. Then I've got my captain coming into my hand if I want to use that to get the initiative. And yeah, I think my early impressions of this game were kind of ill-founded, where my initial impression was not being all that terribly impressed by this at first glance. I'm actually really... I don't know if it's the theming or what it might be, but I'm actually really liking this game. You might remember my initial impression was I was kind of meh toward it. There's actually a lot going on in this game. And I actually really like it. It's not... I'll talk about it when I do a list retrospective coming up in the next couple of weeks here, because I am planning on finishing up my 10-game challenge list tomorrow, actually. But I'll talk more about that when this video's over. This, honestly... I don't know. It doesn't feel to me like the narrative pops out very easily in this one. And we are going to come back to that idea of narrative. But let's see what we've got going on here. Corpsec Z could get to controlling something. Potentially. I definitely need the captain because I need to be able to bolster this turn. I think... Well, we're bidding a 5 for initiative on that note. The only question remaining is... which card am I losing here? I think here we are going to use Corpsec Y to bid for the initiative. I can get Z up here to try to control something. So let's see what the breakers are bidding for initiative. We've bid a 5. They're bidding a 4, so we take the initiative. Okay, so I'm going to use the captain first, so I can either bolster 3 or command 2, which lets me draw 2 cards. I think I'm actually going to start with drawing 2 cards. which the interference is going to do nothing. Then Corpsec Z is going to move up here, and then I'll use another Corpsec Z to actually take control of that. So that'll give me 3 objective points, which if I draw a Scout Y that I can keep, I might be able to just win this game on the spot. Because that's as soon... Because it just says control 5 objective points, and I start off controlling 2. So then Navigator V is going to let me either Scout 1 or Recon. Actually, I probably could have used that to bid for the initiative. I'm going to Scout... what do I want to do here? I might actually want to Scout 1 just to get Vulcan out of that space. Which I think we're going to do, because a Scout Y up here with a control action actually lets me win the game. Assuming they have it. Or assuming it's in my deck. 1, 2, 3 for the Automa. Let's see. Okay, Ripper C is now going after Vulcan with a defense of 5 this time. Which, that's a cocked die, but either way, we are getting rid of a V card, so that's a Navigator coming out. Nail Gunner B, I believe, can also threshold. Yeah, that's an acceptable threshold, so they're going to attack. They have to target a personnel, so they have to target the Scout with which has a defense of 5. Which, that'll work, so Scout Z... Let's see, we need to get a Scout Z out of the deck. And unfortunately, Scout Y does not have control. So Scout Y. Let me make sure that's not it for... Actually, there wasn't one in the discard pile, was there? No. So let's see if there's any more Scout Ys in the deck. Oh yeah, there are more Scout... Actually, that's Scout Z I'm worried about. Let's see if there are more Scout Zs in the deck. There are more in my supply. Okay. So, never mind about that. I'm just doing my shuffle off camera. Okay. Alright, so Nail Gunner B is done. Nail Gunner C doesn't have anything to attack in its space, so it's rolling for a move. A 5 is finding the most dangerous enemy. So that'll be... Actually, I wonder if the Nail Gunner goes after the Scout. Corpsec with control on an unoccupied controlled objective. No. No, I think they're going after the mech here. So Nail Gunner C is going to move into that mess. And they're done. That's a new round. So we'll draw the objective or the initiative card for the breakers. 4 cards coming out. And do I risk the initiative to set up the win here? For this next scenario, do I risk the initiative here to set up the win? Let's see. Oh, hold on. That should have a control objective on it as well. If I use the interference, I'm risking the initiative, but I'm potentially setting up to win before too much longer. And I think the answer here is... Let's see. That inspires a... So Sergeant lets me inspire Corpsec Z, which could get it over to the last control space. So yes, I think we do risk the initiative here with an interference. We'll use that to get it out of our hand. And they are bidding a Survey Tech B for the initiative. So the Automa will take the initiative. 3 cards. And look at that, they came out clean in initiative order. So let's see what the supervisor's doing. And 8 says they're commanding 2, which is drawing 2 cards into their play area. Hopefully you guys are enjoying a little bit of Undaunted Callisto action. We're going to have another space game lined up tomorrow morning on the channel, but I will talk about that more when this game's over. All right. 1, 2, and the supervisor's done. Squad leader doesn't have a matching card to inspire. Matching control unit adjacent to an unscouted objective, which is a no, surprisingly. Matching, nope. Yeah, no, they don't have something adjacent to an unscouted objective. So they are going to bolster 2 in B. So we'll get these cards out to give them a shuffle. Alright, then they're bolstering 2 cards, adding them to their discard pile. So Squad Leader B's done. Ripper C is in a space with a mech, so guess what it's doing? It's targeting Vulcan with an attack. And that's actually a miss this time, so that's very welcome. As for us, let's see. I'm going to use Corpsec Z for a move to move over here. Then I'm going to use my Sergeant to inspire Corpsec Z, pull it back to my hand. Then I'm going to use it to move again. So the next time a Corpsec Z comes up, we can win the game. Then I'm going to use Corpsec Y. I'm going to use that to move over here as well, just to give me some contingency plans. And that's the end of the round. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Well, we don't have any interference cards to use. We'll draw their initiative card. Scout Y isn't really doing much here. Vulcan could probably stand to move at this point, get out of this mess. So I think we're going to use... We're going to keep the commander in hand, because I do want to use that this round. Corpsec Y is going to move into position to set up for the win up here. So I'm going to keep that as well. Scout Y really isn't doing much right now. I could do a little bit of scouting. Do I use the Navigator Vulcan or Scout Y for my initiative bid? I think Scout Y really isn't doing anything right now. And I can use the Navigator to potentially get out of this mess. I could do a little bit of scouting on my way out, so I'm going to use Scout Y for my initiative bid. I'm bidding a 6, which means their initiative bid is a 5, so we take the initiative. Well, ultimately, Vulcan is probably moving this round anyway. Okay, so we'll start off by using Commander V to... What do I do here? There's a lot in there. So I think I want to get more... I'm going to get the other 2 gunner cards for Squad V. Then I'll use the Navigator to get out of there. So I'll move over there, which will give me an interference card. Actually, that's a controlled space. So we'll grab an interference card. Then I'll use Corpsec Y to move in there and set up for the win next round. Then the Breakers will draw 3 cards. 2, 3. And we'll set everything up in initiative order. Alright, Squad Leader C has got 2 units to Inspire, which is their first line of move. Yep, so Squad Leader C's done. Ripper B is in the space. Ripper B is going to try to take control, but there's an enemy unit still there. So space controlled and enemy occupied. They're going to attack Scout Z with a single die, need a defense of a 5. Which that will do. Let's see if I've got any Scout Z's in my discard pile. I have quite the discard pile, actually. And I don't. So let's see if there's any in my deck. There are not. Okay. So I have to shuffle those. And a Scout Z is coming out of my deck. Or coming out of my supply. Alright, we do have Scout Z's left. We do have 1 Scout Z left. So Ripper's done. Nail Gunner C is attacking personnel. So he's attacking Scout Z. With needing a defense of a 5. Which a 6 will do. That'll take Scout Z off the board. So we're essentially racing them getting rid of our 3rd unit. So that was Nail Gunner C's first operation. Or first activation. So now for its 2nd activation, nothing to attack there. Can't take control of the space. And they're rolling a 10 to suppress 4, targeting the most dangerous unsuppressed enemy, but there's nothing there to suppress. Okay, so Nail Gunner C's done. That's a waste for them. Nail Gunner B's doing the same thing. They're rolling for an action. 4 is the most dangerous enemy, which right now are my Corpsec Y and Z. So Nail Gunner B is going to move toward them. And then that's done. Nail Gunner C is going to be activating twice here. They're up here in the space. 6 is trying to suppress, but there's nothing in their space to suppress. And the 2nd activation is finding the most dangerous enemy, moving 1 space toward it. That is the Vulcan. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drawing a card for their initiative, and I saw my hand that is total El Hot Garbaggio. Well, actually, we do have a scout in hand, so we can recon one of these interferences away. Which sounds like a plan to me. I'll use 1 for the initiative just to get it out of my hand. Even though I know full well they're most likely taking the initiative here. And they are with a Nail Gunner C. Which is unfortunate, but c'est la vie, oui? Okay. Alright, Survey Tech B. There's no interference in the play area to recon away. Survey Tech B is attacking. So they're scouting. So now they're scouting. Siri, shut up. Survey Tech B is now scouting toward a threatened objective. So Survey Tech B is moving over here. They're done. Survey Tech C doesn't share a space with an enemy unit. Space secure. Their space is secure. So they're scouting toward the nearest objective, which is going to be over here, and they're getting ready to land on the Vulcan. Ripper C is trying to control the space, which they will take control of that. So that'll give the breakers 1 objective point. And then they're done. First things first, I will use Scout Y to recon this interference away, which will let me shuffle everything else up, and then I'll draw a card. Once it decides it wants to shuffle for me. Now, if I draw a Scout Y here, or something, or if I draw a Corpsec card, Y or Z, it doesn't matter which one, I just win the game. Because either one lets me take control of that space, and we'll be in phenomenal shape there. Actually, the scenario will be over at that point, so let's see what we draw here. It's a Navigator V, so that's not great, but it does let me get the Vulcan out of the space. So I will use that to scout the Vulcan down toward this objective. So I get an interference card, and then that's in the deck. Sergeant Y is going to grab 2 more... Yeah, it's going to actually... Yeah, it's going to grab 2 more Corpsecs. And then that's the round. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we got a pair of Corpsecs here, so I don't think we care about anything else. Well, they've got to shuffle the deck. I've managed to keep the Vulcan alive just enough that it looks like if we can win the initiative here, we should be able to pull this off. Alright, so that's their initiative card. I think the play here is I just bid my biggest initiative card. That way if I get the initiative, I just win the scenario. So we're bidding our 6, they will bid of 6 as well. And since they have the initiative already, they keep it. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully we don't get a whammy here. I should have a couple of V cards yet in the deck. So I'm basically racing their ability to eliminate my Vulcan. Which seems like we should survive. So let's see what Supervisor's doing first. A 2, they're bolstering from 6 is Squad C. So we'll do a 3-card shuffle here, which these 3-card shuffles are always lousy. Alright, so we'll add this one to the... Actually, they're bolstering 3, so they're actually adding all 3 of these. Survey Tech C, no interference in the play area. Space is not shared with an enemy unit. Space is secure. They are... Yep, they're up here. So they are scouting toward the threatened objective. So they're going to move up here. Since that's the threatened objective, Survey C is done. Nail Gunner C is not in the space, so they are rolling. A 1, they're finding the most dangerous enemy, which are the Corpsecs right now. So Nail Gunner C is moving 1 space toward them. Fortunately for us, however, they're going to get there too late, because we're going to use Corpsec Y, it doesn't really matter which one we use, for the control action to flip that into a control marker, and it might be a little bit hard to see, but let me zoom in here. You can see now that we controlled 2 objective points to start. Well, it's good timing, Christoph. We're actually, if you wait for about 5 minutes, we're just about to finish, because we control 2 objective points here, plus 1 up here for 3, and plus 2 over here, that's 5, and the objectives we're to either control 5 objective points or neutralize 3 breaker units. So since we do control 5 objective points, we do actually manage to win the scenario. So that will do it for this playthrough of Undaunted 2200 Callisto. As I mentioned, my initial impressions of this game, I initially was not sold on this game on my first playthrough, but now I actually am kind of liking this one. I'm surprised about it. So I'll definitely be looking into giving North Africa and Normandy a go as well. Once I figure out what all cards I need to keep and what I need to sleeve. So yeah, I will definitely be giving that another go. But I'm rambling a bit, so let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be playing game number 9 on my War Room 10 game challenge list as we play Space Empires 4X by GMT Games. Tomorrow afternoon, probably tomorrow evening at this rate, we'll be playing the 10th game on my list, which will actually finish my list, as I'll be playing Silent Victory from Consim Press and GMT Games. Wednesday, we'll be doing Pinot with Phoenix for April 2025, and next week, Saturday, we'll be in a new cookbook on Mystical Munchies, but I'll talk more about that during Pinot with Phoenix on Wednesday night. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone, and I'm not sure about my feelings about playing this game face-to-face, Christoph. Most of my wargaming experience, at least, has been solo. I haven't been able to get this game out, and I've been kind of hesitant to introduce some of my gaming group and some of my other friends to war games anyway. But I'm rambling a bit, so once again, take care, and I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow morning for some Space Empires.